Given recent events, few organizations in the world have a worse reputation than FIFA, World Soccer's governing body. On May 27th, the U.S. government indicted 14 FIFA officials and sports executives on a breathtaking array of schemes, resulting in 7 immediate arrests. Yet despite the growing firestorm, the question remains, is FIFA really capable of change?
They were expected to uphold the rules that keep soccer honest. Instead, they corrupted the business of worldwide soccer to serve their interests and to enrich themselves. It
all started with a U.S. indictment, which alleged widespread corruption by FIFA officials and regional affiliates, including everything from small-time ticket fraud to bribes in the hundreds of millions of dollars. The star witness was American Chuck Blazer, a former general secretary of CONCACAF, the governing body for soccer in North America and the Caribbean. During the campaign to host the 2010 World Cup, Blazer says he arranged a $10 million bribe by South African officials to buy the votes of 3 FIFA executives, including himself. Investigators told the New York Times that payment was facilitated by Jerome Valk, the current general secretary of FIFA and Sepp Blatter's right-hand man. That allegation, which Valk denies, brought the money trail closer to Blatter and may have contributed to his resignation. Yet the consequences are far-reaching. The U.S. investigation promises to produce more revelations. This story isn't going away. To gain more understanding about the inner workings of FIFA, I traveled to Annapolis, Maryland to speak with a former FIFA official who had the unenviable task of reforming the organization.
The goal was for us to figure out what recommendations we could make to strengthen the compliance program at FIFA and really to bring it into this century. We would roll out a recommendation and they were rejected, and I never heard an explanation. There was just a real concern that the process was turning into window dressing. I wouldn't have gone if I'd known there was that sort of resistance from the leadership.
As I recall, you personally experienced an example of gender discrimination at the 2012 FIFA Congress in Budapest. What happened?
When we set up the investigative chamber, half the names on the list were male and half were female. That was just random. And 2 representatives of the leadership came over and said, you need to stop putting forward women's names. A woman will not be acceptable in this role. FIFA is decades behind, decades behind.
Who will replace Sepp Blatter, and what will that person do?
Because of the structure, we need the right person at the top to drive that change. So if leaders stand up and say, anybody who breaks the rules will be fired, and then that actually happens, people believe it very quickly. And then once the change is in place, the leadership becomes less important because the system works. The system right now at FIFA is broken.
Change from within at FIFA will be difficult. Perhaps no one understands better than James Montague, who has traveled to so many places covering the sport that he's known as the Indiana Jones of soccer journalism.
FIFA, for a lot of people around the world, has been seen as an organisation that has tried to rebalance the game to be more inclusive. Recently I went to Bhutan, which is a tiny Himalayan kingdom, and they were the worst national soccer team in the world. What's happened is FIFA has invested a lot of money in brand new pitches in the capital, Thimphu in particular, and they played in their first qualifier against Sri Lanka, and they won. You know, the standard of football in Bhutan has gone through the roof. You have to remember that a lot of what's happening in these indictments is to do with the confederations, which kind of operate in little separate empires. The temptation has obviously been too great. Blatter has turned FIFA into a massive money-making machine, and the kind of reforms that need to take place are opposed by the confederations because they don't want that kind of oversight.
Whether or not FIFA can change from the inside is still unclear. For anyone who wants to see world soccer cleaned up, the past week has been a good start. But whether it leads to a new, respectable FIFA remains to be seen.